Today we're going to be taking a look at Hasbro's Mando Mondays reveals, as well as my thoughts on HasLab's Razor Crest following last week's episode. Welcome along, I'm Chris Cook, your host for Toys the Jedi. Now, if you are new to the channel, please do click the like button and the subscribe button. Both of those really help the channel get a bit of growth, helps the YouTube algorithms get us out there, and of course we can then do more videos for you. Now, on today's show we're going to be covering all of the reveals from Hasbro's Mando Mondays. Now, there wasn't a huge amount out there. Last week we got absolutely nothing. There was a red Funko Pop which does absolutely nothing for me. Very, very, very easy pass. This week we got a little bit more. There's some Nerf stuff and some Mission Fleet stuff as well. Now, again, not really the focus of this channel, mainly Black Series and the Vintage Collection, but we're going to be taking a look at those and see what those actually may hold in store for those two lines in particular. The other thing I wanted to cover is actually we had a big reveal on the Mandalorian just last week. Now, I'm not going to say anything up top, but when we get to that there will be spoilers ahead there, so just be warned on that one. Anyway, without further ado, let's go on to the reveals. Now, Nerf isn't really my cup of tea. I've got a couple of Nerf items in my collection, namely some blasters obviously, but it's not something that I go hell for leather to try and collect. That said, this does look like a very nice piece. Very much scaled down to fit in the hands of a kid, but with a bit of modification could lead to an amazing cosplay item. I love the fact that it's got a nice scope that you can obviously have a look down. It's got light up features, obviously some very nice gold accents on to various parts of it. Those look to be vac metalized, so it's clear that Hasbro are moving back to that sort of thing, which does bode well for a potential C-3PO figure in the Vintage Collection later on at some point. It's interesting that it hasn't got a sling attached to it, although I would need to take a closer look at the actual Mandalorian's rifle to see if that's something that's on there as well. I know obviously for the figure it's just got a peg on it that clips into the Mandalorian's back. Obviously that's not going to be available on the Nerf rifle. I don't think that would really fit, but yeah, I need to take a closer look to see if it does need a sling. All in all, a very nice item, and one that's well worth adding to your Nerf arsenal. So the multi-pack obviously contains IG-88, who we've got in the Black Series, but we haven't got in the Vintage Collection. Now, I'm taking this as a good sign that if they're willing to put it into this Mission Fleet series, that it's a good chance that we're going to be getting him later on in the year. Next year, I should say. We're still not in next year yet. But I think there's a very good chance that we're going to get him. We've got all the other characters in that line already, so I'm not too worried about that particular pack. The really interesting one is the Quill and Blurg set. Obviously with the Blurg that's being in there, that's not something we've got in any other scale from Hasbro. So hopefully that set will do well enough, certainly with the kids, to inspire Hasbro to actually go, yeah, you know what, let's get it out there for collectors of the other scales. I'm not sure how well it translates for the Black Series side of things. I imagine it should do very well. Their creature sets seem to have been okay. I know for the Vintage Collection there's a lot of collectors out there that would absolutely love a Blurg to go in their Razor Crest or to go outside it. Probably you're going to need a couple of them. Ideally, if you sell it with Quill, then yep, that's definitely one way of doing it. If you are going to multi-pack it and put Quill in with the Blurg, I would prefer it if the Quill was vintage carded, but we'll have to see what Hasbro do on that side of things. Like I say, this should be something that you can get a couple of versions of, because you'll want one for the Mandalorian, one for Quill to ride as they're going off towards that first adventure. So, yep, definitely something that should do very well if Hasbro get it into the Vintage Collection. Come on, make it happen. Now the final set is the speeder bike with Biker Scout. Now this in itself is not necessarily that exciting towards us. However, again, what it bodes for the future is that there may be a Biker Scout and speeder bike being released in the Vintage Collection to coincide with the Mandalorian. These are the ones that appeared in the episode The Siege. Ideally they'll do the white release as shown here, but also the standard brown and grey from Endor and release that in Return of the Jedi packaging. The sculpt that they had back in 2012, which is now incredibly expensive and was a Toys R Us exclusive, would be perfect for a Vintage Collection release. Okay, so spoiler alert now for anybody who has not seen episode 13 of season 2 of The Mandalorian. Now, Quite a big thing happened for many of us collectors out there. You may have seen my video earlier on about should I back the HasLab Razor Crest. Obviously, none of us knew what was going to happen to the ship when the campaign started, but obviously on that episode they blew it up, and not just a little bit, but completely obliterated the ship in front of absolutely everyone. I was shocked. It was not what I was expecting at all. It hit me kind of as hard as Han Solo's death in Force Awakens, which really surprised me. The Razor Crest has kind of come as become a bit of a character to the series. Really, I actually developed quite an attachment to it. I loved the little quirks that it had, all of the hits that it was taking throughout the series. Really felt it was going to be like the Millennium Falcon, and just constantly be getting battered, being patched up, and just live forever. But of course, it didn't, and it really hit me when it happened on the show. Now, the initial thoughts were that, wow, I can't believe they've done that. After the episode had ended, I kind of had to think about it and went, oh crikey, we've all backed this thing as a HasLab project. What does this mean for that? Now, for me, it doesn't matter. I backed the ship having taken some time to think about it, and really I have grown very fond of the Razor Crest. I've grown quite an attachment to it. So with that in mind, as Steve Sansweet said, I'm not buying it as an investment, I'm buying it because I love it. So as far as it getting destroyed and me having a collectible version of it, I think I would really want a collectible version of that ship. So the fact that it's gone makes no difference. After all, the sail barge for the first HasLab project, that was blown up, and that was blown up years ago before HasLab even was a thing. People still backed it, it was still popular. I'd love to get my hands on one of those as well. So yeah, for me, the fact that it's been destroyed on the show, yes, I'm definitely going to miss it being part of the show, but that doesn't diminish my enjoyment of the vehicle and the potential of what we're going to get this time next year. Really looking forward to actually getting the Razor Crest in my hands and just being able to display it. So yeah, it's obviously quite a shock, but I think it definitely furthers the storytelling. It was certainly something I wasn't expecting to happen as well. So yeah, there's arguments to be made that the HasLab project was actually brought forward ahead of time because Hasbro maybe knew that this was what was coming and wanted to get that out in front of people before they all knew it was going to get destroyed. I know I've seen a lot of comments elsewhere online pointing the finger and laughing at HasLab backers for effectively backing something that's since been destroyed very quickly. I know certain channels have really jumped on board with it and almost becoming a bit troll-like in the way that they're having a go at people that have backed the Razor Crest, which it's a bit of a shame really that people have gone down that route. It's not a nice thing to see, but that's what the internet's there for people to express their opinions, whether that's in a nice supportive way where it results in a positive outcome, or whether it's just to attack and to make someone else feel small. That's what the internet is there, apparently for, as some people would say, but it is what it is. Like I say, I'm very pleased that I'm backing it. Can't wait to get hold of it a little later on next year. And that's our show for today. If you've enjoyed the show, please do click the like buttons and subscribe to the channel. Like I said at the top, it really does help us out. All of the images from today's show will also be available on our Facebook page, link in the description down below, so do check those out. I think we've had a bit of a quiet week this week, very quiet week last time. Not as many reveals as we'd like, but hopefully with just 2 weeks left to go, we're going to get some more characters in the Vintage Collection, in the Black Series. Plenty of rumours of what might be coming down the pipe have been online, but we just need to see the actual card backs and the images and the figures themselves in some sort of proper press release. Hopefully these are coming down the road. Like I say, with just 2 episodes left, they may be holding off for that cliffhanger season finale. Anyway, like I said in a previous video, we are going to be looking to cover all of the items that would make good sense for Hasbro to release as action figures further down the road. Really looking forward to doing that video. We're going to be covering each episode as they come along, and yeah, hopefully that should be a good one to give Hasbro some ideas if they haven't got them already. Anyway, thank you very much for joining me. Until next time.